This is Weights and Wealth, your one-stop shop for entertaining education on building a stronger body and bank account.
We are not doctors or financial advisors and must warn you this is not medical or investing advice. It is for your entertainment.
Welcome back to Weights and Wealth. How are you doing, Nick?
Doing well, Ted. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Wish we were recording together, but as we said in the last announcement, we're going to be doing virtual for a couple episodes here until we get back together in person. So today's episode is going to be on loneliness and I guess strategies for what to do if you're recently out of college or in a new period of your life where you're feeling lonely. So our shout out for this episode goes to Lee from Ames, Iowa. Lee is one of our, I would say, more constant supporters on Instagram. So shout out to Lee for spreading the podcast with his friends and family.
Ted, is there anything going on that you had going on last week?
Well, last week I was at the gym and it was... I told you I actually called you in the car ride home. I can't remember if I told you the story or not, but I was at the gym deadlifting, and my glasses started to slip mid-set when my head was down, so they started to fall off like this. And so then after like the third rep, I just took them off and put them on the floor in front of me, and then went back to deadlifting. I'm doing rehab still, so it was just 12 reps, and over the course of the next 9 reps, someone walked in front of me and accidentally stepped on my glasses. So then after the set was over, I realized, I picked them up and they were just completely like whatever the thing is called that connects the glasses to your ear was like snapped off. But I went to the store and they were able to fix them for free. So that was pretty nice. But I was distraught. Couldn't see on my way home. So it was tough driving home, but yeah. All better now.
Yeah. I don't have anything like that. Well, one time I did drop a dumbbell on my phone at the gym, and I broke it.
It's like the meme where someone puts someone's phone in the cable stack while they're doing like a row or something.
Yeah. No, my phone was just on the floor, and I didn't see it, and I put my dumbbells back down on it and cracked the screen.
One of your 12 phones you've had?
Yes. Yeah.
I think we mentioned it before on the show, but in college, Nick always had like an iPhone 4 that he would get for very cheap compared to other iPhones, and he would inevitably lose it or break it, and then just get another iPhone 4.
Yeah, but I mean, the one I've had now, I've had it for probably like 2 years now.
It's got to be a record.
Partially thankful to the Weights and Wealth phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my QR code has been pretty scratched up as well. It doesn't scan anymore.
Mine doesn't even scan anymore.
Now I just have people take a picture of it so they remember what it's called. But
all right, well, we'll get into today's episode.
Yeah.
This is kind of stemming from just a conversation that Ted and I had last night when we were just chatting, and it's on loneliness and like the loneliness epidemic that is in America right now. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I imagine it's kind of all over the world as well.
Yeah.
But
I've got some stats if we want to start with that.
Okay.
All right. So I guess like the big stat is that 52% of Americans report feeling lonely, and 47 say that their relationships with others aren't meaningful. That's literally half for both of those statistics. I think that's pretty surprising. But I guess people are lonelier now more than ever, which is funny because we're allegedly more connected now than ever. But yeah, I think especially like with what you and I have seen with like especially some of our friends and other people close to us. Once you get out of college, it's a lot harder to make friends because there's not that pool of people that are exactly your age, and people have jobs, which is I guess your time is a little more structured than in college when you can just hang out with people whenever you want. But I've definitely seen like loneliness in my life and other people around me's lives go up post college. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because going into college, nobody really knows each other, so everybody's trying to meet people.
Hmm.
Whereas, once you graduate, everybody kind of has like their own thing going on, and so it's really on you to like try to reach out to people and
Yeah.
put yourself out there and try to make friends, which is something that's hard to do. Like we were talking last night, and Ted was saying that he'll go to a coffee shop and just interject himself into somebody's conversation, which is kind of what you have to do to like meet people.
I mean,
Um,
that's how I met Ricky and Paul. Two interviews that we've done. I think Ricky was like late 30s episode, maybe like 38 or 39, and Paul was in the early 50s, one of their more recent episodes. But that's like literally how I met them. Is just they were talking, and I just went over and started talking with them, put down what I was doing, and made two friends. So sometimes it really is just as easy as that. But something you said, Nick, I don't think you were trying to make it a point as a solution. It was more you were talking about college and how when everyone shows up, no one knows each other. So everyone's trying to make friends. And then once you move to a new city and get a new job, people there already have their friends. So you're the only person that doesn't have friends, it seems like. So it's a lot harder to be outgoing because in college when you show up and or like any other new environment that you show up, goes for army training. Whenever you go to a new school, like people don't have more than one or two people they typically will know there. So everyone is trying to make friends. And when you move to a new place, whether it's post college moving to a new city or out of high school you're moving to a new city or whatever, I think you just have to try to continue that mindset of just going out and just trying to meet people and just trying to become friends with people, whether that's talking to people at a coffee shop or just talking to people in line somewhere and seeing if you strike a chord. I think one of the big things, I guess, with that is when you're out and about, maybe not having earbuds in all the time. I know it's really easy to throw your earbuds in, and I mean, I'm always listening to podcasts while I'm out and about running errands or in line somewhere. But if you take the earbuds out and just try to strike up conversations with people, I think that's, if nothing else, it's good practice.
mhm. Yeah, and another thing is I haven't done this yet, but thinking about joining like like a kickball league or something like that. Um, I know soccer's really big. Like I always see people in the park playing soccer and basketball. So those are two things that if you can get into that, that's a good way to meet people. Another is pickleball. Pickleball's gotten really really big. I know one of my roommates just goes to the court and just finds games to play in.
Yeah, and like if you have a hobby like that, something that you enjoy, I mean that's a great way to meet other like-minded people. If you show up somewhere where people are doing that same hobby, you're likely to meet someone like-minded that might want to be your friend.
Mhm.
But I don't know. How has Charleston been for you? Has it been kind of lonely post college, or what have you thought?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely harder to meet people. I mean, like the guys, like I hang out with your brother, and then one of his friends a lot, um, and then like my roommates. But outside of that, I haven't really made a whole lot of new friends. I mean, like I'm friendly with the people at work. I've hung out with a couple of those guys outside of work, but besides that, haven't met a whole lot of people.
Yeah, it's tough. Something that Alex and I have done to try to like take the first step into forcing people to become our friends is if we meet people and we think, hey, we might want to be friends with these people, we'll invite them over to dinner on a Saturday night, and we'll make a home cooked meal and have them over for like basically a dinner and a game night. And if that goes well, then maybe we do it again, or maybe we go somewhere else or go watch football on a Sunday or a Monday at B-Dubs or something with them. But it's just, I think taking that first step is really important because you can't rely on other people to take that first step. That's something you got to do yourself. And I know it can be hard for people, especially like if you're feeling lonely and you feel like you don't have a lot of close relationships. It's hard to just kind of put yourself out there, but Something we said last night when we were on the phone is like the feeling of being lonely and trying to make friends, like post college or high school or whatever, is very similar to the feeling of being in like middle school or high school and asking out a girl for like the first time. Like you're scared of that fear of like rejection, basically, you know?
And yeah, and like we said last night, most people are nicer than what you kind of build them up to be in your head, or like there's really no reason to get nervous about something like that. Most
Yeah.
people are just open to having a conversation. Um,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I think just like taking the leap and inviting someone to do something is for me where it begins because that's what I always try to do. But I'm not sure if you have any other. I mean, you mentioned like pickleball or pickup basketball or soccer. Do you have any other strategies that you think might be helpful for people?
No, not other than just going out and trying to strike up conversations with people. I mean, I have met a few other friends through like just being out and about with Jack and Noah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
That's a good point. As you like go out into the world with the friends that you do have, it like builds a network of more and more potential friends, right? So, getting yourself out of the house, and even if, say, you move to a new place, whether again it's like post high school or you have a young family and kids, and you move to a new place for a job, like once you move there, even if you don't have a best friend there, if you try to go out and do things with the one or two connections that you do have, maybe they'll introduce you to their friends, and then you'll make friends that way. It's
mm,
kind of, I guess, the old-fashioned way of how people used to meet girlfriends and eventual like wives and stuff is like blind date setups. That's how my parents met. It's not as common anymore with dating apps and such, but like other people will introduce. This happened to me. So at Ranger School, I was really good friends with a guy named Derek that was in my squad, and he's exactly like our buddy Sean. And I introduced them together, and that's like they've only met a couple of times in person, but they're really good friends just because they're so similar.
mm,
So sometimes it just takes going out with someone that maybe isn't like one of your closest friends, but them introducing you to someone they know that's similar to you.
mm. Yeah, and I mean this all kind of really goes around just like putting yourself out there. And we've talked about it before, but just like the detrimental effects of technology now, and like you said, supposedly like we're so much more connected, but just staying at home and being on your device, whether it be your phone or just like watching TV, like you're not gonna really get any purpose out of that, and that's gonna kind of leave you feeling more lonely. And so
Yeah.
that's why we may have talked about this before as well, but we want to kind of like as we get older, we want to find more like-minded people that aren't as much into the screens, and kind of build like a little, I don't
Community
know,
of
what
our
you would
own.
call it, community, compound, whatever you want to call it. Which I think that like this is picking up in popularity. I think because I see other people trying to say the same thing,
Yeah.
and I do kind of think that there's going to be a subset of people that try to lower their technology use, not necessarily go Amish,
The
but
Amish were onto something, dude.
yeah.
With like the screens and technology, like I think my most used group chat aside from my family group chat is our fantasy football group chat with 12 of our other really good friends from college. Do you think that like texting in that group chat makes you feel less lonely because you're interacting with your friends, or more lonely because you feel like you're not with your friends? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say probably more lonely that you're not actually like physically together. I don't think that, you know, I mean like it's nice to like check in on people through texting and calling, like that's something great about it, but I just don't think it's the same as like a real in-person relationship or interaction.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not the same. Like even this right now being on like essentially a Zoom is not the same as being in person,
Mhm.
and that's why for the first 9.5 months of the podcast we were so determined to do every episode in person because I feel like it definitely makes a big difference.
Mm.
Um, with the stats here, we've got an interesting stat that also popped up. But do you want to know the state? What state do you think is the least lonely state in America?
I would think that it's like somewhere warmer.
Hmm.
Um, maybe like Georgia.
Well, you couldn't be more wrong. It's Wisconsin.
Is it really?
Somewhere cold. Yeah, that's super interesting because yeah, you'd think it would be like somewhere warm where people can be outside and together, all the time. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it is in Wisconsin. Maybe it's just because everyone's out drinking together all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, people there were really friendly when I lived there.
oh yeah, I loved it there. I mean, I think Milwaukee was definitely my favorite place I've lived.
Oh yeah.
No knock on Charleston, but yeah, Milwaukee, it was nice. I like
Yeah.
it there.
It's a great city. It was just a little cold for me. And plus my family's down here, so
Yeah,
I wanted to be closer to them.
yeah, yeah. That was I was telling someone, gosh, someone was talking about how one time their heat went out, like last week or a couple weeks ago, and I was telling them about that one time when you and I were living in that apartment in Milwaukee and the heat went out.
Oh yeah.
It was like, well, it must have been mid-January probably, right?
Hmm.
So it was mid-January. The one side of the apartment, the wall was like basically floor to ceiling windows that went out to like a porch in the
Hmm.
living room, and there was like a snowdrift out there, so it made it feel colder just anyways because you just look to the wall and you just see snow going halfway up the wall.
Hmm.
But the heat went out middle of January. It's like single digit weather, and we were literally just frozen for like 3 or 4 days. Um,
Yeah.
like
We were
I
just
think you went and got a space heater after like the second or third day, I think, right?
I did, yeah, because I was working from home, so I was wearing like two pairs of sweatpants and two sweatshirts every day when I was working.
Yeah, I was working at the gym, so I was pulling like 12, 14-hour shifts every day at the gym, and then I'd come home and we'd like cook real quick in the freezing cold, and
Yeah.
then we would just get on the couch. It was like an L-shaped couch. So we'd both
Mm.
be on one side of the couch with like I think we had like 7 or 8 blankets, and we would just watch. I think we were watching Alone at the time on Netflix, which was like Alaskan wilderness and probably made us feel colder.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was a solid couple of days of some cold times.
Mm.
But I didn't feel lonely, so.
No, no.
um, I guess how this can relate to health as well. Obviously, we've got more than just weights and wealth here with the five F's. Family. I guess this kind of fits into that family friends category, but loneliness can be pretty harmful to your health. There's a study that correlated it to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of the health effects of being lonely and depressed. So it's important to get out of this loneliness stage if you're in it, which I know is obviously easier said than done. But I don't know, like when I've been talking to people in my life that are feeling really lonely, I've just tried to like tell them you just got to get out there and get active, and you got to try to pick up some hobbies. And I think you and I were talking about this last night, Nick. Like the worst thing you can do is stay home and reach for the screen, like go on your
Mm.
phone and doom scroll through Instagram or Facebook. Like that's just going to be a negative feedback loop, or I guess it'd be positive, but it's going to be just a feedback loop of negativity and making you feel more and more lonely just looking at other people's lives and feeling FOMO and not feeling accomplished after you've sat on the couch. I know like if I waste time like that, like it makes me feel bad because I just wasted time and wasn't doing anything. I know different
Mm.
people have different kind of personalities and gears with that, but
Mm. No, I would say most do feel, whether they realize it or not, guilty about, not doing anything like purposeful or meaningful with their time.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, it can kind of become like a positive feedback loop where, then you kind of feel guilty about not doing anything, and then you kind of reach for what's easy, and it can kind of become like a cycle.
Yes, it's a
Um,
snowballing effect of negativity at that point.
yeah. But then also in regards to your health, I know like in many states now, like the leading cause of death for people, 18 to like 35 is suicide. Where,
Yeah.
if you go back 20 years, it was more stuff like car accidents and like accidental things.
Yeah.
Um,
Before they had seatbelts. What a wild time.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like the way our culture is trending, like I think anxiety and depression are just going to continue to be on the rise. And we talked last night about the whole screen thing and how we both try to get away from that. Like we don't have the Instagram app on our phones. We just can go on Safari and then go to Instagram, but it's such a deterrent because of how addictive the app is. And for some reason, if you don't have it one thumbprint away, if it's like two thumbs and a couple of words you have to type in, it makes it such a huge deterrent that you're not going to be on it as much. But like you can still have that stuff. You can still have social media and get updates on what people that aren't in your most inner circle, but just kind of like acquaintances or just kind of friends, but not really close friends. You can still get updated on what they're doing and have social media and go on it every once in a while and not be like addicted to it and just start to feel left out and lonely, you know?
yeah, but I mean, especially if you do have it on your phone, I mean, like it's designed to keep you on there for as long as possible because the more time that somebody spends on there, the more Meta makes off of the ads that they show you on Instagram.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, so like it's just we compared it to processed foods, right? Just like those food scientists are engineering these processed foods to have the best texture and taste and mouthfeel and combination of salty and sweet and everything to make foods really addictive to people and give them dopamine spikes. These software engineers do the same thing. They're trying to make these things addictive and spike your dopamine and just be your go-to thing whenever you're sitting there and nothing's happening. Pull your phone out, click on TikTok or Instagram. They're engineered that way for profit. So I think when it comes to really powerful things like social media and processed foods, you have to realize that these things are engineered to be addictive.
Hmm. And yeah, and I mean, I think more and more people are starting to kind of realize that now, and so I'm hoping that it sort of creates a movement where people feel like they're being manipulated in a way, and then hopefully start to just delete it altogether and not really use it as much.
Yeah. I think that'd be the hope. I know it's a book we've mentioned several times before, The Coddling of the American Mind. Jonathan Haidt and Greg Lukianoff. There's a section in there where they pull from research from another book called iGen, which I haven't read, but it goes through the rapid increase in anxiety and depression in teenage girls after iPhones and social media started to become really popular, like post 2010, 2013 especially. And I think it's a very negative direction that things are heading with that. And like even just like I live in a neighborhood and kids don't go outside anymore. I don't know what it is. Like there's no kids outside. I know there's kids that live in some of these houses because I've seen them like going to and from school, but kids are just not outside. And I think it's got a lot to do with the devices. People just go to their room and get on their devices, and that's going to make you feel a lot lonelier, and it's also going to make it hard to make friends in the future because you're not going to have that history of putting yourself out there. And then also, I think this is a problem within households as well. I think a lot of families spend a lot of time on their devices, and maybe they're not eating together as much as in the past. And I think that that's a big thing as well. If you're always just on your devices, eating your dinner separate from the rest of the family. I talked to someone about this who had that experience growing up. You know, their family didn't eat meals together. Everyone just had their own frozen dinner they would heat up, and then they'd eat in their bedrooms, like on their with their phones or TVs, and it's just crazy. Like that's setting you up to feel a lot more lonely.
Hmm. And yeah, I mean, one thing that, especially now that all of like the kids in my family are getting older, like my mom started doing Sunday night dinners where we all just kind of go so that we'd see each other at least once throughout the week.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
You going back tonight then?
Hmm.
You guys have football on in the background when that's happening, or?
Yeah, I usually go watch the Eagles with my dad, and then
Okay.
we'll all eat dinner around like 6 or so.
That's great. Yeah, that's good to
Yeah.
hear.
Mm.
Yeah, Alex and I will we usually eat dinner at the table, but our exception is on Sunday when the Packers are playing. Whatever meal it is that the Packers are playing during, or if it's a Monday or Thursday night, we always eat that meal out in the living room, watching the TV. Which maybe we should stop. Maybe we should make a hard no TV during meals rule. I think that would be better. But the Packers can't miss TV. As bad as they are. It's definitely weird being a fan of a terrible football team for once.
Yeah, what do you think they're going to do about their quarterback situation? Because you think Jordan Love is it, or do you think that they're going to move on?
It's hard to imagine someone sitting behind and learning from literally the GOAT. Don't at me, people that think Tom Brady is better. But it's hard to imagine someone learning from Aaron Rodgers for 3 years and not being very good. So I don't know. I think Matt LaFleur is more the issue. I think in years past, Rodgers was able to win kind of in spite of LaFleur. But people thought LaFleur was good just because Rodgers was getting these wins. Our defense and our special teams have been atrocious for years. So without Rodgers there to just kind of magically save these games, we're actually losing these games that we should have lost in the past. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think Love's got a shot at being a decent quarterback. Just needs more time, experience.
Hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
What about the Eagles? They're doing really well.
Yeah, I saw. I think they're ranked. Most recent power rankings are ranked number 2, just behind the Chiefs.
Okay.
So they passed the Niners, and the Eagles beat the Dolphins by a good margin last
Yeah.
week, which I was kind of surprised to see, but very
Yeah.
happy to see.
Yeah, they lost to the Jets though, right?
They did lose to the Jets. Yeah.
It's so funny to have the Jets actually be good now, because it's like for the past 20 years it seems they've been, or 15 years that I've been watching football. I don't know. I guess it's been maybe closer to 20 at this point, but yeah, they've always just been garbage. So it's funny that they're actually good now. I always like when the crappy teams come back and start to become good. Like when the Browns finally got good a couple years ago, when they had Myles Garrett and Baker, and they stopped being garbage. It was hard not to be like, let's go Browns,
Yeah, and like the Jags are having a decent season too.
Yeah, yeah,
They've historically, at least the whole time I've been watching football, have not been good.
yeah, yeah. Texans might be turning it around. We'll see.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys are struggling with loneliness, reach out to us on Instagram. It might take us a few days for us to get back, but we might be able to give you some suggestions. But again, like we talked about, if you are feeling lonely, it's hard to hear, but it's on you to really just put yourself out there and get out and meet people. I know it's tough to kind of say that people's problems are a result of what they're not doing, but the only thing that's really going to solve your loneliness a lot of the time is getting out there and meeting people, I think. So,
Hmm.
all right. Well, we will see everybody next week. Nick, our topic for next week, do you remember what it is? It's rules of
Rules of health and wealth and playing the game.
playing the game of health and wealth. Yes, yeah. So we'll get into next week more traditional episode of playing the game with the way the tax code is written and with how you go about your diet and lifestyle. All right, guys. See you next week.
Thanks for joining us today at Weights and Wealth, and don't forget to apply today's lessons to live healthy and wealthy.
If this conversation will contribute to your fitness and financial gains, please share it with a friend or family member and give a 5-star review so more people can lift bigger weights and get bigger bank accounts.